you get into the detectives bureau. We're just going to call it detectives unit.
Yep.
So you have six guys that you start off. Do they go, hey, we don't have anybody that really specializes in this. You have to be well rounded, but can you start working on this?
In a weird way, yes. I kind of there was a person in there that was really good at sex crimes, and that for some reason, based on some things in my past, I was interested in working sex crimes, and I asked to have the sex crime load.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I had the domestic violence load because I replaced that detective. So at that time, you had every DV case that came in, you at least looked at it, see if there needed to be any follow up. And then I asked for the sex crimes on top of that when that person left. So I had DVs and sex crimes. And then that got to be where that was just too much. It was pretty much me and one other person occasionally doing that, and just the amount of crimes. And I can tell you stuff when I became the detective sergeant, how I saw that grow. And I know right when I left, there was three people handling just the sex crimes,
Hmm.
and the other four were handling property crimes, more or less. You have to know everything, but I asked for those two things.
So mentally though, that seems like a lot of guys that I talk to don't like those. You kind of gravitated those to those. It didn't seem to bother you mentally. Why not? How did you deal with that?
I guess mostly because of some things that happened in my past, and talking to with those individuals that I knew in my past and how they dealt with certain things, and can I help them? And I could show empathy because, again, with my past situation, I was helping with those situations. So I felt more for those victims and was able to at least talk. And I think I always got feedback that sounded like, I cared.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did. I tried to. And working. Plus, there was somebody to chase. It's not like a property crime where half the time, yeah, there's back in the day, there's no cameras, there's nothing. Something was taken, so you look through the newspaper, you go look in the pawn shops. But this usually had a suspect,
Yeah.
a lot of times named, because in Idaho Falls, a lot at that time, the sexual assaults, it's not by a stranger, it's by somebody they knew. Or, as a lot of them are, it's family. So even handling the kid ones, those were a little tougher. But when I got to know the domestic violence and group at the time, now they're domestic violence and sexual assault group, and got into them and how forensic interviewing went, that actually improved my interviewing skills too, because you started to get into trauma-based interviewing, and you think about everything you're dealing with, even the home thefts. It's a trauma to that person. So when you listen to their stories, right, they're all over the place. There's no clear linear thinking a lot of times. So I learned how to ask different questions to get more facts out of people and take the time and learn that. So for me to be able to just help them get them through the right steps, trying to show I cared and going through that, and then working at that time, the prosecutors that work in those crimes, I really liked those prosecutors. For us, person working the sex crimes is usually the number two person in the prosecutor's office. So getting to know them and working more as a team, and then coming up when I started to get into the MDT part of it, which everybody should know.
Would you and explain MDT? What is that?
Multidisciplinary team, which basically for adults, there's what's called a SART team, sexual assault response team. With kids, it's called an MDT team,
Okay.
multidisciplinary team. And by statute, you have to meet for kid sexual assault crimes or child abuse crimes. And we met about twice a week for a while, and then it was every other week. But you meet, so you get to know the advocates, you get to know CPS people, you get to know the DPSAC people, you get to know the SANE nurses, the SAFE nurses, same thing. One's for adults, one, and now it's SANE A, SANE P's, adults and kids, and the prosecutors better. So I like the fact that also being detective, you learn what the prosecutors wanted and what they needed and what they felt was the case. So I think I learned a lot from that part, and I just gravitated that because it's like childhood or childhood to young adult experiences just kind of drew me into trying to, it fit better for my psyche, I guess, and showing empathy. So, and somebody to chase.